You're watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It is a mailbag. We answer all of your questions live. It's on our Wednesday show leading into the AFC NFC Championship game. Some super chats from Jacob. No more talk of trading Lamar. Don't speak it into existence. Jacob, I totally understand where you're coming from there, my friend. He's a Ravens fan, if you can't tell. Kyle Donovan, much love to your Cowboys from this Jags fan. We both lost due to our self-inflicted wounds. Your boys will be back. Duval, I don't know how many U's or L's are actually in that one. I can't count that high. But I think Jags fans, for good reason, by the way, feeling better than they have in a very, very long time. From Doom, a Seahawks fan is might be able to guess. Could Seattle trade for Devin White? They need a solid middle linebacker, and the Brooks is not going to be available at the start of the season. I think Devin White, he's due for a new contract. You want to trade and pay him. I'm not sure teams want to, since I think some of the highlight reel plays are negated by not having the best feel and not great coverage stuff that I have concerns about. But he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be mean to Devin White. Maybe just draft someone or sign a veteran to help tide you over till Brooks is back. But I do think linebacker is a big area of need for Seattle. From Blake, how come winning Super Bowl no longer makes a person good? It should never just be if you do the one thing, therefore you're good or bad. I don't think that's actually fair for anyone involved in the NFL. Now, Trent Dilfer wasn't good just because he won a Super Bowl. He wasn't an elite Hall of Fame player, right? I'm sure it makes you not bad. Dan Marino wasn't bad because he never won a title. Those are older examples. There are plenty of current ones in there to include as part of that conversation. But I would rather, when we have discussions about how good players are, instead of taking the entire sample size, that's what I would do. I would prefer to avoid dwindling it down to, well, these 3, 4, 5, 6 games are all that matters. I don't think that's a fair representation of how good a player is, because winning's hard in the NFL. Don't let Brady and Mahomes fool you that much. From Star Cooper Rush, Cowboys should trade Dak for Derek Carr. If you want to get worse at quarterback and be paying about the same, sure. I don't really understand why that's an idea. Apparently, I know people are mad about Dak. He's still, to an extent, paying for the sins of the Tony Romo era, the godforsaken Quincy Carter, Hutchinson, Drew Bledsoe, Vinny Testaverde era that everyone seems to forget about because, they can't quite get over the NFC divisional round hump. And we all just forgot how great he played against a good defense in the Bucs. But, yeah, I get it. People are upset. It's fine, whatever. But he's still good. The solution can't be, well, we're mad about this quarterback not doing top 5 numbers in the playoffs. Let's go get this lesser quarterback who has done even worse in the playoffs. The Raiders would be all over that. Cowboys aren't. Doesn't make financial sense anyway. I'm sure this will be a common and easily discussed conversation with no controversy whatsoever, but rank Dak Prescott among all the NFL quarterbacks. Get those votes in for me at the pinned comments on today's video. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let us know. From Chris B., speaking of the Cowboys, Tom, is it strange it's been quiet from Dallas this week? Is this Jerry and Steve looking to change things, or is Jerry fake mad like last year? I think they're more fake mad. They did the exact same thing, we're just not going to talk. We're just going to ignore it. They talked after the game. Jerry did. He was very upset. I'm sure he's trying to be overreaction, Jerry, as he often is. I think Steven, et cetera, kind of talking him down off the ledge a little bit. I don't think you're going to see major changes. I think what they're doing is trying to work backdoor, how can we keep Dan Quinn? Which may or may not happen. All right, Greg Goodrow. Bills trade Gabe Davis and a pick for DeAndre Hopkins. If the pick's high enough, it's fun. Now, balancing Stephon Diggs' deal, DeAndre Hopkins' deal is kind of challenging. But, man, what a duo that would be. And Gabe Davis, unfortunately, especially for me, it was a pretty big disappointment in terms of his play and production, but it's a fun idea. All right, Dustin Rushing. Should the Cowboys trade Dak for Aaron Rodgers? So a couple things I think we're just forgetting about. Does Aaron Rodgers want to play with Mike McCarthy? I kind of don't think he does. That was a whole issue a couple years ago. Rodgers, by the way, is very expensive. That's a pretty big factor there. And just pretending the money made sense, which it doesn't. Rodgers didn't play that well this year. He really didn't. Now, he, of course, beat Dallas because the Cowboys, well, he's their daddy to a certain extent. But we're all mad about Dak, or a lot of people are mad about Dak not playing well enough in the final game of the year. Did we not watch Rodgers be bad against the Detroit Lions? I think what we have a tendency to do here is not apply things equally. Not apply the same, well, this is the standard for this guy, well, it's going to be here or there or whatever, and I also don't know how many years Rodgers has. I think you make a real argument that he's still better right this second, but 2 years from now? I'm not so sure. Today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. Do you know how much your subscriptions are really costing you? Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, but the actual total is closer to $200 plus. That's right, you could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you didn't even know about. There's this app I love using that takes care of it for me. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Rocket Money can even find stuff you didn't know you were paying for. Maybe you were double charged for a subscription. To cancel one, all you have to do is press cancel. That's it. Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money right now. Go to rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. That's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Seriously, it could save you hundreds per year. rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. From Robert Bruce, hey Rolly, hey Tom, some chatter on Boston radio this morning about Jimmy G could come back to New England. We have the cap space. Always be careful with local sports talk radio. Wherever you are, it's not always the best. I don't get what the benefit would be of adding Jimmy G and Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. Like, you can make it work money-wise, but that just feels like we have three of the same things. Now what do we do? I don't really get the benefit there. Dominique Schrader. Should the Ravens put the unrestricted tag on Lamar? Then if a team wants, a team basically trades 2 firsts for him. I think what you would probably see is more of a, if you're going to trade him tag, I think Lamar's worth more than 2 first-round picks. And you could pick your destination, somewhat in theory, and get maybe a better first-round pick than, like, I don't know, maybe you should off, like, for example, the Colts as opposed to the Jets, and the Jets end up giving you a lesser first-round pick back, right? Like, I think if that's what you're going to go, you don't have to worry about it too much because you can still trade him. You don't have to do it that way, or the non-exclusive tag, because you can still talk trade anyway. So I wouldn't get too caught up in the minutia there. From JRG, should the Seahawks re-sign Geno Smith? I thought he played really well this year. There is some semblance of thing that I hate, but I also do it of like, he hasn't been good before. Do you trust him? It's also a small sample size of good play versus a decent size of not great play. Franchise tag could make sense. Maybe you try to do a somewhat team-friendly deal with some type of out after this year. I thought he played well enough to bring back. Maybe you just sign him to a 3-year deal. You probably got to give him around $30 million minimum. That's how quarterbacks cost these days. I would look to tag him, worst case, re-sign him ideally, and see just how friendly you can make that contract, which, if you're Geno, you're not trying to do that because you're trying to get as much as possible. This is your one chance. So, tricky contract there for sure. Now, if you want more live NFL mailbags, hit that sub button today. YouTube.com/@chatsports. Free videos every single day. Junior Estrada. Should the Patriots bring back Tom Brady and bench Mac Jones until 2024? Wouldn't that be funny? 1 year of Brady in New England ends where he began, and then you ride with Mac Jones. Be fun. I don't despise it because it's Brady in New England, but I think you also kind of want to see what you can do with Mac Jones and not Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator. Alec G, you like Joey Porter Jr. better or Devin Witherspoon? I think this year's quarterback class in general is really good. Depending on who you talk to, I think you're going to get up to 5 names maybe as this guy's my number 1 corner. Joey Porter Jr., Witherspoon, you'll have some Keely Ringo, Christian Gonzalez, etc. Maybe a Forbes, a Cam Smith. Like it might go 10 deep of like guys that might be in my top 50. So my answer is yes. If I had to pick one this second, maybe JPJ, but you're talking like, hey, this guy's awesome, this other guy's awesome. Like, I'm not mad at it. Eric Sanchez, the Giants tag Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley. Whichever one you're not closer to getting a deal done with. I don't know. Tag Jones, pay Saquon? I think that's my guess. You don't really want to let either guy hit the open market because Saquon is still a good running back, but how much you want to pay running backs? Daniel Jones had his best year ever, but it was still like top 15-ish. Do you want to lock into that guy when I know we've done the whole he needs a chance. He had a good coaching staff, but he's had playmakers too before, so that's a tough one for the Giants. How much do you want to commit to a shockingly good season and have that be your core? It's tough for New York, man. It's tough. It's a great question, Eric. I'm going to go tag Jones in the end. When it comes to free agency, though, who is the best one in the 2023 class? Let me know in the comments section. It's all video on the channel, by the way. Let me know in the comments. Top NFL free agent this year. From you Green, no you. Should the Raiders trade up for Bryce Young? Bryce Young is going to be – this quarterback class in general is not ideal. I don't think there is a surefire, locked and loaded, guaranteed, not that there ever is, but obvious number one quarterback. Talking from people, you have Bryce Young, Stroud, Will Levis, etc. I could see Young falling to 3 or 4 because he's tiny. He's not a big player, and that will turn off teams. It absolutely will, but I think he's the best quarterback in this year's class. So if you are convinced he's your guy and you're the Raiders, go get him because you might not have a chance next year to go get a QB. From MILF Hunter, asking about Zach Wilson. Of course. Is this Wilson's burner? People are talking. Where will Zach Wilson go this offseason? I don't know what you do with him, man. I really don't. This is such a tough idea. Wilson has been bad for 2 years now. He is uncomfortable in the pocket, tough time seeing things develop downfield. It just doesn't work well. So you want to give him time, but wherever he goes with time, now you don't have a decision made at that point. You want to try to find a spot that isn't in a rush. It has a solid veteran quarterback you could learn behind, but how much of an asset do you want to get up there? Are you looking more in the later rounds? Are you pursuing a situation does Minnesota try it? Does Seattle want to give him 2 years to learn behind Geno Smith because Geno's a little bit older? I don't have a great fit. Because if you make him your starter, it's not going to work. And if you make him your backup to learn, well, you're not going to know anything about him beyond practice stuff because he's not going to be playing. So it's tough. That is a tough decision. So Denver take a gamble on him and sit him behind Russ? Just in case Russ is bad? Your guess is as good as mine. It's a great question. So our question for you now. Is Zach Wilson simply a bust? Y for yes, N for no in the comment section. Go vote for me right now. Chris B., hypothetically, if you could draft Caleb Williams next year, would you? Dak's a good QB, but I think Caleb can be a great top 5. If you're sitting there naturally, let me put it to you this way. If you have the number 1 overall pick, you should probably take Caleb Williams almost regardless of your situation. Unless it's some bonkers, the Bengals lost Joe Burrow to injury, but he'll be back, he's fine, don't worry about it. Then yeah, maybe you don't take Caleb. Or even, I think Drake may be in that conversation. So I think specifically for Dallas, the issue you run into is you're probably going to be too good enough to be in that range. It was just I remember can you get Burrow conversations? Yeah, it'd be awesome, but you weren't in range to get him, so it didn't matter. That's a really great quarterback prospect from what we've seen so far, but good luck getting up there because you've got actually bad teams like the Commanders who might be in position to get him somehow. For Brokov, like the idea of Carolina hiring Phil Longo as head coach and tanking for May. No, because Phil Longo I think Phil Longo's wildly overrated. That's my take. He has a fine enough college offense that doesn't actually require good routes being run by his receivers because the play call is go get open. Literally, it's what he's called. It's called free route. It's horrible. It doesn't make any sense. So, no. Now, if you want to tank for a Drake May or Caleb Williams, sure. That's the different conversation, though. Jacob Raleigh, what team that missed the playoffs has nothing to be ashamed of? The one that really jumps out, isn't it the Detroit Lions? Like, isn't that the one like, oh, man, they were close. They ended the year on a high note. We're feeling great about them long term. Beyond that, yeah. Is it only the Detroit Lions? Isn't it just them? Maybe the Bears, because, like, we're feeling good about them long term. I'm going to go Lions, though, for sure. That's it for our mailbag. Once again, folks, remember to be subscribed. YouTube.com/@chatsports. Free videos every single day right here.